help support the companies that support our community. Welcome back. Today I'm going to make a bathroom sink out of this piece of maple burl. It's about 21 by 22, but I'm going to take it over to the bandsaw and true it up a little bit so it's not too out of balance when we get on the lathe. I've had this piece of burl for probably 15 plus years. I got it off the beach, the Oregon coast, and I've just been waiting for a project for it. Let's get started. The sink ended up being 14 inches across and 7 inches tall at its highest point. The natural edge goes up and down a little bit. Really, there's not a whole lot to it. It's just like making a bowl, but at the end of it, you get to pop a hole in the bottom of it on purpose. The only thing you need to do is seal it up. I use System 3 resin to seal the inside of the sink and make it waterproof. You mix it up, 2 parts resin to 1 part hardener. It's supposed to be for basically flat surfaces. It's a self-leveling resin, but it worked out pretty well. I put on a pretty liberal sealer coat and then just kept rotating around as it kind of leveled itself out. And then I put a finishing coat over the top of that, and I just applied it with a brush. But it worked out pretty well. And then to get the little air bubbles out, you can either use a heat gun or a torch. I didn't have a heat gun, so I used my torch, and it worked out pretty well. You just you don't shoot it directly at it, just over the top of it, 6 or 8 inches or so, and you can watch the little air bubbles pop. I had a piece of maple that almost worked out perfectly. I just had to trim a little bit off the ends for the countertop. I drilled an 1.5 inch hole for the faucet for the pipes to go down through that, and it'll just tighten right on there. And then for the sink, I used my jigsaw, and I just tilted the base just a little bit so the curve of the bowl fits down in there nice and tight. What I'm going to do eventually is I'm going to put it all together in the camper, and then I'm going to put some more resin around the edge there so that it seals up nice and tight. And for the countertop, again, I used the System 3 to seal that. It worked out great. It self-levels itself. And again, I put on 2 coats of that to seal it up. The drain that goes on the inside of the bowl is 1.5 inches, so I just used 1.5 inch Forstner bit on the lathe. And I didn't go all the way through. I didn't want to hit the chuck, so I'll finish drilling that out after I get it off the lathe. But I just took a square carbide cutter and cleaned up a little bit around the outside, and that's where the flange will go, and it's about 2 1/4. So I just recessed that just a little bit, and what I'm going to do is, because that's bare wood, I'm going to seal that up with CA glue again to kind of waterproof that little area, but it does have a rubber seal that goes in it. Alright, I just put a coat of CA on the inside of that, and I'm going to go ahead and install the drain here. You need to get a drain if you're going to make a sink like this without an overflow on it. Most of them have holes on the side. The only kind we could find was a shiny silver, so I scratched it up, Robin painted it, and put a coat of clear on that. So that is just going to drop right in like that. It has a rubber seal in there, and then you tighten it up from the bottom to seal it. So I'm gonna do that, and I'll run and get the countertop, and you take a look at that. I was hoping to have it installed in the camper, but it took a lot longer for everything to dry than I thought it was going to, and I still need to cut out a little spot right here, and this is still a little bit tacky, so I don't want to mess with it till it's fully dry. As far as doing the outside of it, I used a really thin CA glue. It's just almost like water. And again, it's Starbond CA, and there's a link down below in the description for a discount code on that. So go check it out, and if you put on the discount code, you get I believe it's a 15% discount on your order. As far as turning the bowl, or the sink, it's just basically turning the bowl. You really don't need to worry a whole lot about the wall thickness on it. I would leave it thick, because if it gets bumped or something, you don't want it to break. But Simon at SG Art Turning, he did one a while back, and it was really cool. He used Alumilite to seal it up with though, but I didn't have any. I had the System 3, and it seemed to work really well. It worked better on the countertop part of it because it's self-leveling, but fun project. First time I've ever done a sink. As far as what I'm going to do is install the countertop and then pour epoxy around here, so it's going to be one piece when it's done. But I'll get some update pictures on that, and I'll bring you up closer to get a little closer look too. Another quick thing, this community is just amazing. William Osman, his home and shop burnt down last week, or not last week, it was just a few days ago, and it was just amazing the support that came out for him. Robin and I are working on a mobile makerspace, and you guys are just awesome. I had a house fire when I was young boy, and I remember just people in the neighborhood bringing over food and clothes and stuff on. So know how hard that is. So thank you for coming, everybody getting together and coming through for him as well. If you haven't been to his channel, I'll put a link down below in the description, and I'll put a link down below to Simon's channel as well, where you can see he's turned a couple of sinks. It's really cool. All right. I think that is about it. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe and hit the like button on your way out. I will see you next week, and we'll have another project. And of course, it's going to be a Star Wars project for the new movie. All right, till next week. Take care.